What up everyone, it's your man XMan87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Marvel Legends Spider-Man 2024 Retro Wave Hallows Eve action figure review. Before we get into everything, if you could please drop a like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, let's go! So I pretty much covered most of Hallows Eve's story during my Chasm review storytime segment last year. I recommend you check that out if you want, as I'm not going to double work myself for a storytime I already did. But I do want to go over her powers and abilities because I think it's really cool as it fits her gimmick. Janine Godby, aka Hallows Eve, is a demonic shapeshifter who first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 14 back in 2022 as the supervillainess. Named after the holiday, Halloween, Hallows Eve is capable of taking on the appearance and abilities of the Halloween masks she wears. This is thanks to Madeline Pryor, aka the Goblin Queen, for bestowing her these mystical powers and aid her boyfriend Ben Reilly, who became Chasm. Here are some of the following powers that come with some of these masks, just to name a few. Frankenstein Mask increases her size slightly and her strength exponentially. The Witch Mask grants her the ability to curse people. Vampire Mask grants her vampiric abilities. Werewolf Mask transforms her into a werewolf with feral strength and physical characteristics. Model Mask. The looks of a Hollywood icon can also be seductive for mind control. Think of DC's Poison Ivy. Ghost Mask. Intangibility and invisibility. The Black Cat Mask. Speed and agility of a cat. Mummy Mask. Projectile wrappings. Captain America Mask, enhanced strength and agility of a super soldier along with a shield. The Hulk Mask, greatly enhanced strength and durability of the Hulk, also makes her much taller. And the Spider-Man Mask, which grants her Spider-Man's ability, being able to go toe-to-toe with the wall crawler. Those are some abilities, not all that I mentioned. Some masks are questionable for her power use. There's some that won't work. For example, she can't put on a Dark Phoenix mask and suddenly have the powers of the Phoenix Force, as the Phoenix Force is a cosmic immortal entity which cannot be replicated. Not every ability is known. It's left for the writers to explore and arcane for the readers to keep us imagining. No matter the case, this makes Hallows Eve an unpredictable adversary, as she always has a trick or treat up her sleeves. Alright guys, I'm so excited to review this one, and those who follow me know how excited I was when this figure was first revealed. I like this character a lot, and she is Hallows Eve nailed to the T. And I want to spend quite some time on the head sculpt, because there's a lot to cover here. But first off, that head sculpt, man, is just lovely. I love the facial features we get here with the bat-shaped domino mask, the yellow painted eyes, the grin, nice lipstick color. Yeah, the facial features are really nice. They still kept it nice and soft, to keep those soft feminine features. And the hoodie, look at that hoodie. Oh, it's so cool with the tattered sculpting. You can see it, the tattered sculpting on the edges right there. And one thing I want to go over is her hair color. Now, in the comics, Janine's hair is red. So she's a redhead. And in the figure, they kept her orange. Now, I've seen some posts saying her hair is inaccurate. It should be red. Well, what is it really? Well, in the comics, this is not Hasbro's fault, by the way. They did the orange hair. And in the comics, it was either red or orange. It's not inaccurate. They could have went either way and it's fine. But the packaging art shows red hair. That's just one of the comic covers. That packaging art is going off of one of the comic covers that had the red hair. Now, the orange hair, when I went back and read the comics that she was in, again, there's panels where it's red, but mostly, I want to say mainly, it's more orange. So if anything, that's the more consistent hair color. And now the cool thing about this is that her hood, since it's newly sculpted, they kept the head separate, as a separate piece, so it is not glued on, and therefore making the head entirely removable, and that is freaking awesome. She's got the sculpted hair on the front. Now, they didn't sculpt the lines completely on the back. I don't know if they intended to maybe glue it on, so that's why it wasn't like fully or completely sculpted, but I'm happy to have this option at least. It does look bad, I'm not gonna lie, it does look bad that it's not sculpted, It almost has that kind of like animated feel. where there's some sculpted lines and then it's just flat. However, because in the comics she did have her hood down, you can display Hallows Eve without the hood, and I do love that option. So this gives you some photography options, you know. If you don't want to display the hood, you have another display. So that is awesome. Instead of giving us an alternate head, at least they made the hoodie removable. Putting the head back in the hood is pretty easy. You just slide it back into place and then just pop that back in. The one thing I will say, even though the orange is the more accurate color, I think in figure form they should have went with red, and I'll tell you why. Because it just looks too orangey. And I feel like red would have broken up all the orange that's going on here. You know what I mean? It would have separated the orange a bit. And I think it would have brought out more color. But again, that's not Hasbro's fault. That's more Marvel's fault, as the artist just couldn't keep her hair color consistent. Now, her cape is awesome. She's got the little pumpkins right there. And you can see it's painted on her tattered cape. And the tattered cape is lovely. I really like this thing. So you could display it. It's a split cape, which I like. And you could display it however you want, you know, like this. Or you could, you know, crisscross it like that. Whatever you want. It's some nice tattering right here. Look at that tattered sculpting. It's really nice. You get some holes in there too. And it's nice and pliable. The cape is not plugged into anything. You can remove it just by pulling it like this. Now, it might come off sometimes when playing around with the figure. The satchel does slide off sometimes. What I like to do is just tuck that satchel right underneath her cape and then have her head looking down a bit, so that way the hood is sitting on that satchel so it doesn't go like super loose, you know what I mean? Kind of holds it in place, but you know, it's gonna move around. And she does have purple straps around her shoulders right there, as you can see, and that's painted all around. That's nice. She's got the purple satchel. Man, it would be nice to get a satchel that has a tab so you can open and close it. This would have been a nice feature to store her mask there. That would be a cool feature for a future deluxe Green Goblin comic version, which I want so bad, to store his pumpkin bombs. Man, if there's anything you can make me fall in love with a figure quickly, is being comic accurate. Oh, this is so comic accurate, man. The only problem I have here is it reuses the AOA Rogue torso. So she has those 2 peg holes in the back, and you guys know that annoys the shit out of me, man. I hate that so much. At least do something to take advantage of it. So this would have been a perfect opportunity to give her clip-on vampire wings when she uses her vampire mask, and an alternate head with her vampire face. That would have been awesome. Closest thing to a vampire face I could give her is Celine's. Man, I just love her look. And I will say that this is one of my favorite modern designs. Hell, this is one of Marvel's best modern character designs. She just has that look. I remember when I was first reading Dark Web, and when she first appeared, I was like, whoa, I love the design so much. I said, that's Marvel Legends worthy right there. I just had a feeling, oh, we're going to see a figure of her in like a year or two. And a year or two, here we are. And I'm happy about that. I hope collectors realize how good of a figure this is, because people tend to shit on modern characters. And unfortunately, modern characters get a bad rap nowadays. But she's one of the good ones, man. I love her power set. Makes her so unpredictable. And look at the tattered cape. You can even display it this way, waving out like that. And that still looks good. You know, even though it's plastic cape, you can still make it look dynamic. Yeah, this is... I've been having fun with this figure a lot. And again, going back to the design, it's such a lovely design, man. The solid black and the orange tattered thigh highs and the tattered sleeves. Now, I will say, the tattered designs you see here on her sleeves and on her thighs, that's not supposed to be sculpted. I know some people say, oh, why didn't they sculpt this? No, it's part of her skin tight spandex suit. So, you know, it's not like a separate aesthetic. If anything, it's more like a crackle effect than a tattered kind of design, because when she uses her powers as she's about to wear a mask, there's a crackle effect that pops up as she's about to use it, and sometimes it glows around her arms and on her legs. So yeah, it's supposed to be more of a mystical aura kind of thing. But again, solid paintwork all around. I am just happy with the way this figure came out. All pinless on the Shriek body, just that AOA rogue torso. I wish it was a different torso, but yeah. Overall, I'm very happy with the way this figure came out. Now for accessories, you already saw the closed fist on her. So for other interchangeable hands, she has these open hands. And lastly, she comes with gripping hands to hold her, which is the most important accessories for her, the mask. She comes with a vampire mask and a devil mask. And this is so freaking cool. You can see the blood dripping from the vampire mask right there. Nice paintwork on the masks. So they look very, very cool. I do wish they gave her a Spider-Man mask. I think that was the one thing that was missing here. Oh, if they ever give us a Marvel Legends Spider-Man themed accessory pack, they could go ham with giving Hallows Eve some more masks. And as I mentioned before, when she's about to use her mask, this Crackle Aura effect will come out. So you can use the Lady Mandarin Crackle effects, which are newly introduced. Oh yeah, power flexing achievement unlocked. And the best thing about these masks is that they are wearable. As you can see behind it is lined out, so it's form fitted for her face. You just press the mask up against her face, and there you go, it's wearable, and that's awesome. Just make sure you're applying enough pressure when placing the mask against her face. The devil mask is tricky, so sometimes I have to hold her head like this, make sure she's looking straight, and then make sure her chin matches up with this groove in the mask where the chin is. And then what I would do is just kind of just hold it, slide the mask slightly up, and there it goes. It's gonna look a little bit awkward, but I feel like the best fitting would be placed right here where the horn, you can see like the tattered part of the hood kind of matches up with that horn right there. Alright, that looks a little bit better. You just gotta keep playing with it until you find the sweet spot. Now for articulation, her head moves about that far up, which is really high for a hoodie. That hoodie has a lot of flex, and she looks that far down. Great articulation and range. Left-right movement. You get some pivoting too. So the range around the neck area, perfect. You got her arms that move that far up, higher than a T-pose. You know, you can move them up and down. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, the wrist swivel and the wrist hinge. Torso movement about that far down. You know how the female joints work, right? And that far back, swivels. It can pivot, rock that around. Leg spread about that far apart. Legs kick up that far and kick that far back. So frontward split. Legs rock around. You got the thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and also close to heel to the Hallows Eve butt. And you got her ankles that move about that far up. They move down, and you can rock them all around. Now for some comparisons, here's Hallows Eve next to some of the X-Men her and Goblin King Chasm had a standoff with when the X-Men were trying to help retrieve the Demon Scythe for Madeline Pryor. Not everyone here is accurate in their House of X costumes that appeared in Dark Web, except for Cyclops. Forge and Iceman are passable, but we definitely need Jean in her new House of X costume. Here's Hallows Eve next to Eddie Brock Venom. Here is Hallows Eve next to Spider-Man. Here she is next to her boyfriend Ben Reilly, aka Chasm. It's so great that I can reunite Ben and Janine in figure form. I can't wait to get a Goblin King Chasm since I feel like they are building up to that BAF release. The most important comparison here is Hallows Eve next to Madeline Pryor, aka Goblin Queen, as that's who she got her powers from. I do want that version of Madeline Pryor from Dark Web when she was a Spider-Man villain so I can put her on my Spider-Man villain shelf. If King Chasm isn't a BAF, then I'll be happy with a deluxe Goblin King and Queen 2-pack featuring the Demon Scythe as a shared accessory. And now to wrap things up, my final rating is a 9 out of 10. I went very high with this rating because of how extremely comic accurate it is, which played a major factor in my score. When you can pull that kind of accuracy off and make the figure look great at the same time, then I'm about that. I would have loved if they'd given her a Spider-Man mask to hold, and come to think of it, a set of thwipping hands would have complement that perfectly to mimic Spidey's abilities. But you know what, guys? I know you heard me say this figure should have came with this or that and a third, and in some cases, true. But there are times you just gotta appreciate what's right in front of you, and believe me, I'm greatly appreciative of this. 3 sets of hands, 2 masks which she can hold and are wearable, a removable hoodie to display Janine's head without the hood, comic accurate from head to toe with a solid paint job. I mean, for $25, I'm not gonna complain. I'm an extremely happy consumer of this product and as a fan of the character. I'm in love with her design because it has a classic feel to it over modern, which looks like she could have easily fit in any era from the 70s, 80s, 90s in Marvel Comics. Again, I hope fans aren't ignorant and say this figure sucks only because it's a modern character they don't know about. And again, I like this character. I know Dark Web wasn't a great story, but it's one of those guilty pleasures of mine I go back to read, like the Clone Saga. Whenever I get a Spider-Man X-Men crossover in Marvel Comics or cartoons, I eat it all up, which also gives this figure more versatility in your displays. You can pair her with Chasm in your Spider-Man or House of X X-Men shelves, which I might put them in my House of X display. I want to bolster that shelf up some more, and Legends hasn't supported it in a hot minute. Honestly, if they made the back solid without the 2 gaping holes and sculpted behind the hair, she would have been a perfect 10. Can't get more accurate than this, but their design flaws prevented that score. Hallows Eve is pretty much everything I wanted from her in Marvel Legends, and at this moment, she might just be my favorite figure in the wave. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think of this Hallows Eve figure? Did you cop or pass? Which modern Spider-Man villain would you like to see next? Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. Thank you for watching another Marvel Legends review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xman87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.